Boy, oh boy, if there was ever a day that I really would want to talk to Ann Coulter, I can't think of a better day than today with everything that's going on. It's insane. So here to bring a little sanity is the author of course, her newest bestseller, Never Trust a Liberal Over Three, especially a Republican. It's the one and only Ann Coulter. Hello.
Hello, Steve Malzberg.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, the whole thing.
Thank you. Don't watch out; you'll get suspended.
Yeah, I know. You got to watch. Well, not here, thank God. But you got to watch. If I worked at a department store, and I don't know why I'm starting with this, but something that's been on my mind all day. 40 million people use their credit cards at Target. A sixth of the population shop at Target. I can't figure that out.
Store.
Man, that's a lot. And for those who don't know, 40 million people may have had their identities stolen if they use their cards from before Black Friday or during Black Friday at Target.
Oh, boy. What a disaster.
Now, are you in danger?
I don't think so.
But when I heard that number, 40 million people.
Wait, is that how many credit cards? I heard something about
Yeah,
this.
they say 40 million people could be, should be aware because that's so many people shop there during that time period. 40 million different people. And I'm like, what? How is that even possible?
This does remind me. I think these cyber hackers should get the death penalty.
Well, I tell you.
It's a really serious problem. I mean, from shutting down websites and just, I mean, they're like trial lawyers.
But you don't think they should get the death penalty, trial lawyers?
They just, yes, of course. They just step in and, create an enormous cost on society to engage in thievery, just like trial lawyers.
So hackers are like trial lawyers?
Yes, and serial killers.
There you go. And you'll be quoted and taken seriously for all that stuff.
An enormous cost on society, and they're so hard to catch. So when you finally catch them, I mean, part of the way criminal punishment works is the harder it is to catch, the more extreme the punishment needs to be in order to discourage the behavior. And apparently they're very difficult to catch.
All right, well, let me take this to a kind of an analogy, but not really. Maybe it is a good one. There's a disparity between, it has been for many, many years, crack cocaine and white powder cocaine, I guess. And many claim that it's racist in nature because more blacks used crack during that time and whites used the powdered cocaine. It's an upscale drug, et cetera, and it's done to put blacks in jail. But, in fact, I've always maintained, and Kendall Coffey, who was just on with us, agrees, and he was a U.S. attorney at the time when these laws were instituted, that, crack cocaine led to, it wasn't a victimless crime. People robbed for it, murdered to get their next fix, to steal and get money, and they had to do something about it. And I now leap ahead to Barack Obama pardoning or commuting the sentences of 8 people who were convicted to life in prison because of crack cocaine offenses, saying that they were sentenced under an unfair system, which has since changed. Do you buy that? See, to me, if you commit a crime and you know what the penalty is, even if it's an outrageously ridiculous penalty for the crime, and then you commit the crime, I don't have much sympathy.
Well, this is just a continuation of Barack Obama's attack on the black community. First, he drives their unemployment rates through the roof. It is, of course, African Americans who are suffering the most in the Obama economy. And if anything, it would be discriminatory if you don't protect black communities by trying to clear out the criminals. In point of fact, it often was. Black ministers and black community leaders coming and begging for more police protection. That's, the line you always hear in Law and Order and other shows. Oh, you only care when a white girl is killed. This is to protect the law-abiding blacks, the decent blacks who are probably not going to be able to leave their apartments soon in New York City, at least under de Blasio. The idea that you are punishing the black community by assuming everything is true here, and I agree with you. I think I'm suspicious there is as much damage done by powder cocaine as crack cocaine. That was the big argument, that crime rate went down, not because of Giuliani, because the crack epidemic went away, which I think sort of confuses the chicken and the egg. Why did the crack epidemic go away? Because we locked them up.
Right.
But leaving that aside, it does this enormous damage. you're harming the community by allowing the criminals and drug addicts to run wild.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. All right, now I got to go quack, quack. And you know what that means.
Yes, my favorite TV star for a show I have not yet seen.
Yes, I've never seen it either, but you've read what he said, talking about, among other things, how certainly a woman would be more attractive for a man to have sex with than another man. And he was very specific with body parts.
That appears to be the predominant opinion in society.
I would assume so. Yes. So, how do you think A&E reacted? Did they were they just in suspending him?
It's outrageous. It's unbelievable, and people who believe. I mean, first I'd say Christians, but far beyond Christians, just people who believe in speech. I mean, there's nothing offensive about what Phil Robertson said, but the part about. When he talks about, I just don't get it. You can do so much more with a woman's vagina than a man's anus. But then quickly says, but, I'm not judgmental. Sin is sin. In fact, he puts fornicating heterosexuals on a darker plane than homosexuality. He says you start with homosexuality. From there you go to bestiality, to having sex with this woman and that woman. And look, this is straight Christian, and I might add Judeo-Christian doctrine. Sorry, no fornication. That's what the good book says. And to just cite standard morality that has been around for thousands of years, and have this. Obviously not all gays, but this angry gay mafia gang up on you and demand your suspension has just gotten out of control. I think this is not good for the gays. And as we've seen, just the headlines on the Drudge Report, I mean, gay person after gay person is coming out and saying, what are you people doing? We believe in free speech.
Yeah, I hear you. We're talking to Ann Coulter here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me talk about the more mundane for a second, and that is the budget deal that was reached, and I'm sure it'll be signed any day now by the president into law. Do you think that Paul Ryan and the Republicans caved? I mean, the sequesters.
Completely.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's no question. We had what's the matter with the sequester? They keep acting like, oh, we had to act. We haven't had a budget for you. What is it, 6 years now? That's what the sequester was for. If you don't agree on a budget, which they obviously weren't going to, there are these automatic cuts that go into effect. And I might add at this juncture that deal was concluded by the great Mitch McConnell, who's being viciously attacked by nuts, calling him, he's establishment. You say, yeah, well, your love, the big Tea Partier, Paul Ryan, just sculled a deal that would continue to cut government spending in order to raise government spending, in order to raise taxes. And don't tell me it's not a tax because it only applies to people who fly.
Yeah, of course it's a tax. They call it a fee, but it's a tax. I mean, they think they're Judge Roberts, making these distinctions. So Boehner caved.
No, it's worse than that. If I could just add, because sometimes I think there is a difference between a fee and a tax. When a fee is for something you're getting, you're using, the government golf course or tennis courts, or you're getting a hunting license.
Good point.
Or a law license.
Good point.
That is a fee. This is not. This is just screw you people who have to fly. We're just going to keep upping the taxes every time you buy an airline ticket.
All right. Now, so Boehner, talk about Boehner. I mean, should he stay as speaker, or why did he do it? And then lambasting the conservatives and the Tea Partiers?
Well, I blame Ryan most of all.
Yeah, and then
He's
what about
the one who was? I mean, can you imagine being hoodwinked by Patty Murray? That should be the first line in his obituary someday. I write about her in my current book, Never Trust a Liberal Over Three, under the title "The Stupidest Woman in America." This is the woman who, after 9/11, starts talking about how, the people love Osama bin Laden because he's out building daycare centers. Wait, I'm sorry. Have you heard of Al Qaeda?
Oh boy.
Have you heard of the Islamic and Osama's position on women and women going to work? I mean, she is the stupidest woman in America, and she hoodwinked Paul Ryan. And I also want all Tea Partiers to take. Mitch McConnell was the one who gave us the first the first government spending cut since the Korean War. Even Ronald Reagan couldn't do that. No, the sequester was fantastic. And this nonsense about, but defense is being cut. Who cares? A Democrat is president. If anything, he's going to use our Defense Department to invade England. We don't need to worry about the Defense Department until we get a Republican in office.
I told you I wanted it was the best day to speak to you because there's nothing going on. And have a Merry Christmas. Thank you for everything. Thanks for coming on. We'll speak to you in 014. I hope, and thank you.
Good to talk to you, Steve.
Good.
Bye-bye.
You too. Take care. Ann Coulter, ladies and gentlemen. Never trust a liberal over 3, especially a Republican. Wow. When we come back, John Bolton joins us right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg